At some point, you have to just let go of certain people in politics who have strayed so far from beliefs that you think you knew they had, that if you were to remove that person's name from his quotes and leave them anonymous, you would think they were on the other side of the political spectrum. While this happened to me months ago, his latest few remarks from recent interviews have only reinforced my sentiments. The politician I'm referring to is President Trump. Back in 2016 and 2020, I was a huge supporter of him. I even gave a speech in college of why we should vote for him back in the primaries. It's a valid point to make that he was completely different then than he is now. I don't know him inside. He could be the same person, but his rhetoric has changed significantly. I refer back to all of his flaws from his last year and a half in office, from the lockdowns to the vaccines, which happens to be an accomplishment that he can never seem to stop tooting his own horn about. Releasing thousands of criminals to make Kim Kardashian happy, increasing the national debt, and many other things. So there are two glaring moments he's had very recently that are just so absurd that it's clear he's closer to being a liberal now than a conservative. The first is his unwillingness to answer the question, can a man become a woman? He couldn't do it in a straightforward manner. He's friends with Bruce Jenner, the guy who pretends to be Caitlyn Jenner. He even personally overruled a decision by one of his beauty pageants, I think back in 2012, to allow transgenders in the competition. He seems to have kind of a soft spot there for them, or certain ones. Secondly, when he was asked about the heartbeat bill that DeSantis signed down in Florida, which was an abortion ban after 6 weeks, I will give you his exact words. Quote, I think what he did was a terrible thing and a terrible mistake. So this is what we consider a champion of Christian and conservative values now. Just wishy-washy people who care nothing about the morality and values and everything about getting elected and keeping the grift machine running. This is why, while I titled the video Donald Trump, and I began the video with criticism of him, I'm talking about the whole conservative movement. So I'm not a DeSantis fan, not a fan of any of the other Republican candidates, or just any Republicans besides a few local guys here and there that are there to do the right thing, which you will not find in any big-time political position. Let's go through conservative media now. What are all the so-called Catholics and Christians saying lately? Well, here's Jack Posobiec tweeting about Trump's two latest interviews that contain those two wonderful moments. Quote, Trump's Megyn Kelly and Kristen Welker interviews will go down through the annals of time as the greatest interviews in political history. Entire courses will be taught on them at top institutions. That's a Catholic saying that interviews with a guy who refused to give a straight answer about the trans issue and said that signing a harsher bill to ban abortion is a terrible thing are the greatest interviews anyone has ever done. Okay. Nice. So it's good to see that he puts his allegiance for Trump and the MAGA cult before the Catholic faith. Let's check up on I would guess his name is pronounced Cernovich, I don't know. One of the more prominent conservatives on Twitter. He says clearly as a defense for Trump, quote, if you really believe that life begins at conception, such that first trimester abortion is murder, how do you stay home? Why aren't you protesting every day? Truth is, people don't really believe that, but they'll say that they do and cost us the next election and lose the country. Now, how despicable is that? Anyone who truly believes life begins at conception wouldn't make that statement. And you better believe he would keep allowing the bar to shift if it means winning more elections. Here's the truth of the matter, or how I see it. It's fools like him and many other conservatives these days defending these statements who have made it so that the only way to win national elections anymore is to abandon our values and let the liberals have their abortions 15 plus weeks after conception, allow the trans nonsense to go on just as long as kids aren't involved. We'll see when they actually start saying that's fine. Celebrating gay marriages, quote unquote, and their so-called rights to purchase babies or adopt them. Decades ago, they went soft when the general middle ground among the population was a complete ban on abortion, and then gave ground on that and many other issues, shifted things so that the generally acceptable belief was to allow it under extreme circumstances such as rape and incest. Then that was allowed to be shifted little by little until today, where they now claim that 15 weeks is a fair middle ground and we should allow babies to be murdered during that period of time, just so that the same spineless cowards can claim that it's the only way to win elections anymore. The worst thing about it, too, is how many of these people claim to be Catholic or just follow Christ in general. Yet, when they choose between him and their beloved political idols, they don't choose Christ. And the other thing about conservative media that has also helped me realize that the Christian faith they speak of so much means very little to them is their obsessive allegiance to Israel, the same country whose official religion is Judaism, the religion whose founding is the absolute rejection of Jesus Christ and their decision to crucify him. Christians are treated like dirt there. Nuns are spat on. Christian women have groups of young, I'll use this term loosely, men, surrounding her and kicking her for speaking about Christ. Listen to all the conservative Christians use the term Judeo-Christian values. How do you even put those two words together? It's basically like putting polar opposites together. They don't go together. They will defend Israel until their dying breaths. I mean, for example, here's Glenn Beck again. Again, a popular conservative pundit saying this, quote, "We shouldn't have to tell the president to not make the Catholic sign of the cross in front of the Prime Minister of Israel. But yet, here we are." So Joe Biden made the sign of the cross in front of the Prime Minister of Israel, and we've got conservatives criticizing him for it. I can't believe they've gone so far now as to make me say I'm with Biden on this one. Yeah. And then let's not forget when Charlie Kirk told American Christians that they owe their allegiance to Israel. It's no wonder I've lost so much interest in all of this stuff. It's crazy leftists versus people who claim to be Christians, but spend half of their time scolding real Christians for holding firm on their true values. And unfortunately, I've lost all respect for these people at this point. They'll drop the morals they claim to hold in a second, so long as they remain in all of the important friend circles in politics that allow the money to keep rolling in and keep their popular status. And then, just to close, not everyone is worthless. What's a better word for that? There's good things going on. The Catholic movement is seeing a lot of good things, a lot more traditional Catholics, people having large families and expanding, and churches being built that are actually reverencing God and not making a mockery. It's so while all those things are going on, there's also good things going on. Just want to make clear. And on that note, I think I'm done here. So have a good rest of your weekend, and God bless.